It has undergone a mid-season change, and then also has hired a new defensive coordinator
We are going to
next
go ahead
year.
and get started with the meeting.
Are you like
About 3
how
minutes.
how much of all of this are you watching, and are you looking at any Oklahoma State stuff?
We are not looking at any Oklahoma State film right now. We're focused on what the Buckeyes have done this past season. I know they've had a couple changes in staff assignments and things like that, but you see the personality of the defense shine through each week. So we're just preparing very hard for a high quality opponent.
Andy, what jumps out about Ohio State we can take on?
Athleticism and size, great length on the edges, physicality. And then the one thing that really sticks out to me in terms of coaching the quarterbacks, what a great job they do disguising coverage, is the quarterback's really going to have to be on top of some pre-snap indicators, but they do an excellent job. Very well coached football team.
Is there a strength up front, linebacker, secondary, something that really stands out about that unit?
The defensive ends have great length, great range, and great ability to redirect, and they definitely have our attention. But again, quality players all the way across the board.
Andy, does it change your game plan if any of their defensive players opt out? They've already had one on the defensive side opt out.
No, we're too far into adjust and adapt. But I know one thing: if one guy leaves, they got another really good player ready to step in and take his spot. So we're working very hard in our preparation.
Andy, what do you think have been the keys for your guys' running game to be able to really, hit the stride that it has down the stretch of the season?
I think my biggest takeaway from this season is our players' work ethic and improving every day, and then in practice, and then that improvement showing up in week 4, improving every day, and that improvement showing up in week 5, et cetera, et cetera. So this group is a hard-working, focused group that has shown improvement each day in practice, and it shows up on game day. And obviously, we're anxious to put that on display here at a very large stage.
Tavion Thomas, what makes him such an effective guy for your offense?
His physicality. He's an excellent downhill runner. He's got good vision and deceptively fast for a big guy, but he is a load to tackle. It's going to take a couple guys to get him down on the ground. But his physicality, his presence in the offense was a big catalyst of this offense taking a jump about halfway through the season.
How much have you seen him grow just personally over the course of the season?
Oh, tremendously, because he joined us in the summer as a transfer, a 4x4 to a junior college and then to Utah, so he's learning a different culture and things like that. Through summer conditioning, fall camp, and learning the offense can be like drinking water through a fire hose at times. So he's had great growth as a football player, as a person, as he learns and adapts the Utah football culture. No, because there was some time early in the season where you're like, this young man's not going to be ready this year, but he was committed to it. His running back coach, Kyle McDonald, was committed to him, stuck with him. We had some trouble holding on to the ball earlier in the season. He got those addressed, got those fixed. So I am pleasantly surprised with his growth and development as a football player, as a person at the University of Utah.
How pivotal was that stretch when he had some fumbling for him?
Say again?
How pivotal was that stretch of the season for him, that juncture where he's having some fumbling?
Well, I think a big red light went on in Tavion. I said, I got to get this fixed, or else I'm not going to play, because that ball came out a couple times the first couple games of the year. He came off the field. He wants to play. He wants to be an impact player in this program. And he identified the issue and he got the issue corrected. It's a daily process in terms of focusing on ball security. I'm very pleased with his development and where he is right now.
Andy, what's it like to be able to have 3 different tight ends that you can kind of wear? I mean, how does that change your offense with all 3 of them?
Well, it's the way that we put the system together for a long time. It's all based and designed. What we do offensively is based on the players in the program, their strengths, and we are very fortunate to have 3 very talented tight ends. People say we got to throw the ball to wide receivers more. We're just trying to utilize our best players, so that's what gets us into a 3 tight end look very frequently. But you've got 3 distinct, different characteristics with those tight ends. With Cole Fotheringham, the line of scrimmage, kind of prototype tight end. Brant Keithy, much more of a detached move tight end. And then Dalton Kincaid, kind of a nice blend of the two, but they're very talented football players that all 3 of them, high degree of football intellect, do a great job preparing, and that's what allows us to utilize their skills and abilities.
You've had Cam in the program for a few years now, but since he took over as the starter, where have you seen his growth the most? He's grown obviously in a lot of areas, but where have you really seen him maybe explode or grow the most?
I think the biggest thing is the way he prepares, the way he works day in and day out in terms of film study. There's no question that his system knowledge of what we're doing is beyond reproach, more than any coach, myself included, in the program. I mean, he has great ownership, but the way that he is learning to dissect defenses, dissect opponents, and then translate it on game day. Hey, I saw this exact look in film, and there's no hesitation, no doubt in his mind. That to me has been one of the most pleasant things, enjoyable things to watch, is his development as a preparer.
To go back to for a minute, how happy did it make you when you heard Brant and Dalton were both coming back?
Fired up. Those are two impact. Obviously, we're going to miss Cole, but those are two difference makers for us in the program, and fired up to work with them for another year. There's no doubt.
To go back to the tight ends, when you're in the recruiting process for those guys, are you looking for a specific kind of athlete for what a Utah tight end is, or do you like that sort of variety of a mix of different
Yeah,
things?
I think that position in particular, they come in, great tight ends come in all shapes and sizes, and then it's my job, once you identify an athlete's skill set, is to design and implement schemes to put him in a position to be successful. And these guys are very talented in what they do. They're all a little bit different, but that's the coaching staff's responsibility to design plays for them.
Is it fun as a coordinator, because you have to know that the matchup problems that this creates, the leverage you can kind of put on defenses, is that just sort of one of the fun aspects of the job when you can take athletes like that? And because a lot of teams aren't used to matching up with
I think it is a point of difference for the Utes. Using three tight ends, especially that three at a time, can be a big advantage for us. But I think the biggest difference maker for us is those three young men, their football intellect, their ability to prepare, their ability to master what we're asking them to do, and then to go out and execute it on game day. So it's a special group.
Andy, Britton said yesterday that when Cam took over as the quarterback, that it maybe allowed you guys to get back your identity, that you had put in some concepts to maybe try and help Charlie mesh with what he was familiar with. How did that process work itself out?
As I mentioned earlier, what we try to do offensively is put our players in position to do what they do really well. So we had a graduate transfer quarterback that has spent his entire life in the spread offense. So we tried to implement more of that early in the season with mixed results, as we're all aware of. And then when the change was made at the quarterback spot, we reeled it back in, kind of went back to what we had been doing here at the University of Utah for the couple of years that I've been here. And the results speak for themselves.
Did you notice any major changes between the Ohio State defense once they made their changes? Like, how is that coming across to you in film?
I think there's some subtlety, but again, and I don't know all the exact timetables, things like that, but I know that they got a veteran coaching staff. They've been around a lot of football, and they're working very hard together. Maybe a little bit more middle open safety as opposed to middle closed safety looks on early downs. But I haven't really dissected to see what has changed. I'm just kind of focused on, you take kind of the last half of their season. This is who they are. This is what they're doing, and what do we got to do to attack that?
When you have a veteran defensive line coach like Larry, does that mean that you sort of have an idea like what kind of techniques they're going to play and how you can sort of attack them, or are you just going to have the ball? I don't want to get run over.
It's predominantly we're going to do what we do and do what got us here, but you have great appreciation for his expertise that he brings to the defensive front. And those techniques show up, and our guys are going to have to be very technically sound and fundamentally sound in order to have success in this front.
Does Tavion really have a knack for the zone plays?
We are predominantly an inside and outside zone football team. We do run some counter, but I believe he is best running the ball downhill out of his toes at 7.5. I don't think he really has a preference whether we're running zone or counter, gap schemes, what have you. He just wants to run.
And there's been such turnover around the Pac-12. I mean, we've seen it again this offseason. What is the stability of Kyle having been in Salt Lake for so long, done to allow the program to kind of take advantage of the turnover elsewhere in the
Yeah,
conference?
I think it's such a credit to Coach Whittingham, his vision for this program and what he's been able to accomplish. And you know, I've been with him 2 different times now. I was with him when we were in the Mountain West, and then it took the transition into the Pac-12. And you know, there's always some growth and challenges with that, but just his clear-cut vision, his ability to communicate and motivate coaches and players. I think the results speak for himself. I think he's an elite college football coach.
You mentioned the length and size of Ohio State's defensive ends. What kind of problems does that pose for your offense?
There's some leverage problems on the edges. You know, our tackles and tight ends, especially the matchups with the tight ends, is going to be a real challenge. I know we're talking a lot about our tight ends. They have their work cut out for them this weekend. With that, there's some things in the play action game, and really the drop back game that the quarterback has to be aware of. We may have been able to sink a ball over defensive end said it's going to be very difficult this week. Those are, I think, elite edge rushers, edge players.
Do you set out to get the ball out quicker?
We have a big part of that. That's always our plan. We want to get the ball out of our hand and try to get the ball into space as quick as possible. But I wouldn't say that we're making a drastic adjustment in what we're doing in the pass game. We have great awareness and great respect for everybody on their defensive front, but just awareness of the length of each player.
Athletically, how different is this team from the Mountain West Utah?
How different are we?
Yeah, just like body types, access to kinds of players. How is that kind of
Yeah, I
manifested?
think we're longer, we're stronger, we're faster than you're talking about the team I coached 15 years ago. Yeah, it's just you're recruiting a different type of player. The facilities, the administration, everybody supports the move to the Pac-12 very well. But I think it's just we had great players back in the day, okay? But I just think the level of athleticism hasn't enhanced itself here in the past 8 or so years.
Do more doors open when that happens, when you move up a level? Can you get into any high school?
Yeah, and again, the support of the administration, the facilities, everything that went along with moving from the Mountain West to the Pac-12, opens more doors.
Are there any concerns that we will not be playing due to COVID-19?
I have that's not my concern right now. I'm concerned on having a good practice here this morning here in about an hour and a half. So, but absolutely in this day and age and what's going on in the world, that is, but I cannot let that be my focus.
What are the precautions the team is taking to prevent any outbreaks?
We are following very closely with our trainer, the CDC guidelines, the city, local community guidelines, and we're all on top of it. We're just trying to do things right. That's
I left like 3 years ago. How was it up in the box?
I think that's probably a better question to ask Cam, but I know one thing, that we have a good relationship, we communicate very freely, very openly. I think he may have developed an appreciation for the view from the box to approach from the box where it's very removed, very quiet, very extreme emotions. But just, I know it has not hurt.
You say that it hasn't hurt us. As this couple of years have gone by, how much have you seen him, grow as a quarterback, but as a leader, somebody in the huddle with guys?
Well, his leadership and his interaction with his teammates is beyond reproach. You know, his personality jives with every player, every position. No one's an outcast. Everyone's confidant, everyone's friend. Listen to him. He's not a rah-rah guy, but he's a great communicator. Being a great teammate for him.
I'm wondering what you think of what you've seen from freshman corner Denzel Burke at Ohio State. It's rare for a freshman to be starting at that position.
Yeah, Thank you very much. Gifted player, great awareness of that young man, and he's got great change of direction and closing speed. So we're very aware of his presence.
Because he was an Arizona kid. Did you ever was he on your radar, Utah's radar at all?
I couldn't speak to that.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.